Alright, this will be a rather long video, so the timestamps will be put down below, and if you have any questions you can put them in the comment section. Okay. So yesterday I happened to have a client who wanted to take my consulting services. It was like a one-to-one session, and the person asked me about following your passion, following your dreams, being a freelancer, running a business. So I asked the person permission, can I share these thoughts later on without giving any specifics? He said, yeah, go ahead. So I finished my consulting with him, and today I thought this would be an appropriate topic. And the topic being about quitting your job and following your dreams, okay, or following your passion. Now, I'm pretty sure if you Google search or if you put a search on YouTube, you'll get enough and more people will say follow your dreams. And once you type it out on YouTube, you'll start getting all ads, because YouTube and Facebook's algorithm will check, okay, you're looking for follow your dreams, your passion. So you'll get gurus who'll sell you courses, how you can make a 7-figure income, how I achieved live my dreams, free webinar, seminar, course, okay, whatever. I'm pretty sure there are enough and more coaches and gurus, online experts, who will tell you how to achieve your dream, but I'll make this different. I'll give you my own personal experience, how I was able to quit my job, achieve my dreams. But in the end, I'll also tell you whether you should or you should not. So this is I think 25 points checklist that are stapled on my GoPro. And I'll read out the points one by one. So this is a very important checklist you need to have if you want to quit your job and follow your dreams. Okay? This is not going to be motivational. This is not going to be positive. This is going to be very realistic. Okay, so the first one. So you want to quit your job. You want to get out of the 9 to 5, the boring life. People say, oh, degrees are worthless. You want to be a slave. Wouldn't you like freedom? Okay, fine. All that is nice. It sounds nice. Okay, freedom and achieve your dreams. But the first point, the first most important point is, how much money do you have in the bank? And I'm talking not of money that is just lying. I'm talking of disposable income, not savings. Disposable income. Money that you can just blow, spend, and not worry about. Okay? And the right amount, obviously you'll say, yeah, Loy, I have some money. By some money, what do I mean to say is, whatever is your expense per day, okay, whatever, food, electricity, water, let's take a month. Whatever is the expense per month, food, electricity, water, clothing, shelter, basic stuff. Multiply that, if it is per month, multiply that into 12. So do you have savings for the next 2 years? If 2 years is a stretch, do you have enough savings that will help you last for 1 year? Okay? 1 year is at least minimum. Okay? I know some will say 6 months, but I always say 1 year. So the first one is, if you have savings for 1 year, disposable income that you can live off, then that's the first clue that yes, you can quit your job. But if you do not have savings for 1 year, 1 full year, quitting your job, don't even think about it. Just don't think about it. Because I'll tell you, when you start your journey as being a freelancer or a businessman, for the first 2 years of your life, you'll only be spending money. whatever money comes, let's say you get 100, you'll blow it off. 200, you'll blow it off. Because you need to keep investing, keep reinvesting, keep putting in. And to get a steady stream of clients is not possible. So the first most important one is money. And if you do not have at least minimum 1 year, recommended is 2 years. But if you want to go to the lower side, 1 year of savings, that means whatever is your expense per month, multiply into 12. If you don't have that savings in the bank, don't. And if you have a wife, multiply that into 2. If you have a kid, multiply that into 3. Okay, that's the first one. Second one is plan of action, but not plan of action. Like if you speak to anybody and say, what is your plan? They'll give you a nice detailed plan. Oh, I'm planning to open this, invest into this, start this new venture. No, I'm talking of a workable plan, a plan that is working. And what do I mean by workable plan? Not did you open up your new office, not did you create a website and you have put your merchandise and your stuff that you're selling, not did you register on Fiverr, Fiverr, Freelancer, Guru. No, by workable plan I mean, do you have recurring clients? Do you have recurring income? Now it's very easy to create a website. Within anything from 7 days to 1 month to 3 months, you can open a website. You can set up a business, especially like in places like Dubai. In 24 hours, you can register. 8 hours, you can register, or even 1 hour, you can register a business. But the question is, fine, you registered a business, trademark the name, logo, slogan, color, all that stuff. You purchase the products. But where are the clients? And if there are no clients, how do you get your revenue? Or do you have at least money coming in and going out? Money coming in and going out. Is it a flow? Or is it only money being spent? Or even worse is you just have a plan in your head, in the cloud somewhere. This is say cloud computing. You have a plan in the clouds. So if you have a workable plan, that is, you have recurring revenue, you have customers every month, a steady stream, at least 2, 5, 7, whatever, okay, then fine, you can quit your job and move towards you can think about it. But over here I'll move to the next some other point on number of clients and value. Number 3, now, do you know how to sell yourself? See, as an employee, if you're able to hustle and get job interviews, if you're able to put your CV out there and people call you for interviews, let's say out of 10 CVs, at least you get 4 calls. Or if you meet people want to meet up with you and say, come, let's talk, let's discuss. If you're that kind of person who people are attracted to, you have that charisma, you have that enigmatic personality that people talk to you, they're like, fuck, I want to know more about you. Then yes, you can consider quitting your job. Like for example, me, even before I had tattoos, people always ask, what do you do, man? Where do you, explain to me. They were very curious about me. They would always ask me questions. And somehow, hook or by crook, I would get an appointment. They'd want to talk to me. They would want to meet me. Even with or without a CV, I used to always get these appointments and interviews. I somehow learned the art of hustling. So the third one is, can you sell yourself? If as an employee working 9 to 5, you're not able to sell yourself, you're not able to, forget sell yourself, you're not able to even sell the products, you cannot and should not leave your job. I'll tell you, the thumb rule is simple. If you're the number 1 salesman in your company, you have a better chance of succeeding as a self-employed, an artistic person or a freelancer. But if you're not the number 1 salesman of your company, by number 1 I mean among the top, the best, month after month after month you're able to sell, then you should not get into giving up your dreams, because once you set up your own business, once you become a freelancer, you have to sell even harder. You have to sell even more. The competition is even greater. See, if you're working for a brand like Toyota, it's already established. You just have to, sell to Toyota, to who wants Toyota. But if, let's say, you create a brand, Amatar, what the fuck is Amatar? Or you will say Hussein or Mark's products. What the fuck is Mark? Who the fuck is Mark? So always remember, if you can't sell yourself or sell the product, and you're not number one in the company or the top, forget it. Point number 4. This is without a doubt the toughest one. The easiest but the hardest one. How good are you at asking for money? Wait, there's a sub question. Not just asking. Asking anyone, can you give me money? I get enough and more people begging and asking through Messenger, WhatsApp, Skype. Can you give me money? Can you give me a laptop? Can you help my family? Fine, I'm not talking of that way. I'm talking about how successful are you in getting money? How successful are you in being able to get a round of funding? In my case, I would say that I'm not the best at getting funding, but I've been able to get money without being able to pay it back when I really need it. The skill is being able to ask money honestly, with integrity, and not needing to pay it back. Like you remember in my previous videos, where I spoke of getting 200,000 dirhams. That's roughly, I think 60,000 US dollars, and I didn't have to pay it back, and I took it honestly. So that's an art. So if you know how to ask for money and get it, not just ask for money, then yes, you should think of quitting your job. If you don't know how to ask for money, you don't know how to get money, don't do it, man. Trust me. And here's a simple thing. If you can get money or charge money from your relatives constantly and easily, then you are a champion because your relatives know you in and out. So, but remember, mind you, it spoils the relationship. It will destroy the relationship forever. So just be careful about that. Okay. The next one, number 5. Are you obsessed? Okay, by obsession, let me give you an idea. Okay. I stay in my room which is my office. I get up, I sleep over there alone, away from my wife. I get up in the middle of the night, I do work, again I sleep. I wake up, nobody comes into my room. Okay, my wife and baby come sometimes, but they're not allowed otherwise. And then I do work, I go for exercise, I come back again to my room. I'm 24/7 in my room. I don't go for parties, I don't keep friends, I don't like going out, I don't like doing anything apart from my work. I'm just so obsessed about my work. Every day I will check, okay, how much money did I make? How many clients have I got? How many clients have I got for next month? How many clients have I got after that? What is my strategy for next month? What is my strategy for 6 months? In fact, I'll tell you this is a very personal, shocking thing. My wife sometimes says, oh, are you in a mood for sex? Sometimes you will not believe, literally months go by. Months, I'm not joking, months go by and I don't feel like having sex. Why? Because my entire focus is my work. I'm so crazy about it. I'll just stare at the screen, I'll stare at my notebook, I'll stare at my notepad, and I'll be busy taking ideas. Sometimes I get lost in some world. I'm just so obsessed. My wife knows that my life, my obsession is my work. It's more than my baby. It's not that I don't care and love my baby and my wife, but my work is most important. My brand is most important. So I live, eat, breathe, die only my brand. And if I cannot work, if I cannot do what I love, I would rather prefer death. So that's how obsessed I am. If I had to choose between my wife, my baby, and my brand and my mission, I would choose that. And I have no hiccups about it. I have no qualms. I have no sadness. I don't even feel bad about it. Why? Because that is how much I'm obsessed with what I love. So do you have that kind of obsession? If you don't, then passion is not for you. If you're ready to sacrifice anything and everything for the purpose of your brand, for the purpose of your goal, your dream, then that's it. I know what you'll say. Shit, Loy, I never thought you're so shallow. Well, whatever. That's how I'm successful, and maybe you're not. Remember this. People who are crazy about their work, their vision, that's how they become successful. How do you think Elon Musk or Steve Jobs, or they have reached their obsession? Okay? Otherwise, no. Next one, number 6. Now, this is a common misunderstanding that people have. People say, are you tired of working 9 to 5? Are you tired of working 5 hours a day? 5 days a week and being a corporate slave? Be free, enjoy freedom. Let me give you the reality. Once you become a self-employed, once you become your own, they say your own boss, you'll be working 24/7, 365 days a year. There is no day that is off. You can take an off, but if you take an off, your revenues suffer. Don't be fooled into thinking, okay, now I'm working 9 to 5 or 9 to 9. If I become my own boss, I can choose the number of hours. Yes, you can choose the number of hours, but you have to work harder than any employee on the planet. I'll tell you today, the amount of hours that I work is, I can challenge most of the employees. You're not working as hard as me. No way. The only upside to this is I enjoy my work. I love my work. It is such a joy, a pleasure that I cannot express. In fact, I don't feel it work. Like right now, what I'm doing is work. Okay, but I don't feel it work because I love what I do. So the next one, the point I'm trying to say is, you will be working 24/7, 365 days a year for the rest of your life. Like say when my wife's father died, I told her point blank, you go, I'm not coming, because if I come, he's not going to come back to life. Or even if you're seriously ill, if I came there, he's not going to see me and get well. For me, he's sick. I have to make money. I'll send you whatever money you need. You take care of the rest. I cannot come. It's as simple as that. Even if my baby is sick or my wife is sick, I can't spend time with them. I will send them back to the village or put them in a hospital somewhere, and I need to focus on making money. So your work is 24/7. So you need to love that. Point number 7. This one is a killer. People ask me, like, why do you walk in the sun, and why do you walk and run and this and that? That is because I need to do exercise every single day. And the reason for that is stress. The amount of stress that running your business or your passion is tremendous. Don't discount it. It will impact you so badly. You will not be able to sleep at night. You'll not be able to eat. You'll not be able to have fun. You'll not be able to even have sex sometimes. It is so much that sometimes your health, it can leave you bedridden for days. I know of one guy who was so under pressure with work, client of mine. He got sick for literally 6 months. 6 months bedridden because he lost $20 million. And then to recover, it took him a long time. So I'll tell you, the stress that it puts you on your life, on your family, on your health, don't discount it. It's crazy. So if you're the type who can handle this, fine. If at your workplace you can't handle your stress, as a businessman, I don't know what the fuck you're going to do, because it will be countless times more. Okay. Next one, point number 8. As a freelancer, as a businessman, as a you know, as an independent business owner, you have to learn one very ugly reality. And that reality is you have to learn how to use people. If you do not know how to use people, you do not know how to take advantage of them, and you're not comfortable doing that, don't get into being a freelancer. Because as a freelancer, as a businessman, you have to use people. You can't be nice, you can't be kind. See, there are many times where I'd had to make a choice. Okay, should I charge this client a little bit more or not? This client doesn't know this, so can I squeeze in another $10, $20, $100, $1,000? It's business. I have to do it because I have to earn to feed my family. And if I don't do that, you know, see, the thing is, here as a freelancer, I don't know when my next meal will come. I don't know when my next customer will come. I stay on an island. People send their inquiries, and that's how I get a sale. And remember what I told you, you need to know how to sell. If you are not the master at it, you'll not survive. So for me, every customer is like, the best analogy I can give is a lion is looking at deers, and he'll just run and grab. Even if he has to grab a small baby deer, he'll grab it. Why? Because he doesn't know when the next meal comes. Maybe he doesn't want to kill that small little baby, but he has to do it in order to survive. So for me as a businessman, even if I see a child, even if I see grown up, if I can get that extra $10, $5, $20, I'm not afraid. I will not think twice. But the caveat here is, the small little rule that I give you is, make sure you give them 10 to 20 times more the value. Don't just take money and not give value. That is unethical. That I don't do. I'm sorry. Next one, point number 9. How intelligent are you in analyzing future trends, fads, and future happenings? See, over here, I would say it depends also on your risk appetite. Like, for example, people who invest in Bitcoin, people who invest in shares, the stock market. See, they not only have a risk appetite, they also have the foresight, the ability to plan, okay, will the market go up? Will the market go down? Will the prices go up? Will the prices go down? You should be able to intelligently decipher this data. So based on this, you will be able to make the right choice. Now, for me, I always, because I'm so obsessed with this data that I'm constantly looking at it, it's like I'm able to see things before they happen, a little bit like predicting, you know. Am I right always? No, I'm wrong sometimes. Like, I predicted Donald Trump will come in power, I was wrong. But where I'm accurate is, I predicted the Expo 2020 would be a flop, which it is. Even if it comes back with COVID, it'll still be a flop. I predicted Dubai would lose its glory days when people are making money. Everyone laughed. I was right. I predicted Emirates Airlines would no longer have the position of power. Everyone laughed. Everyone made fun of me. I was right. I predicted the property market would crash and burn. People would lose everything. They laughed. Today they're not laughing. So in many ways, I was able to predict things. That is why I left UAE before they introduced the VAT, because I knew it would crash. And that's why I shifted my entire residence. So I'm right in most of the things. So you need to have this ability to decipher data and use it to your advantage. If you cannot, then maybe you should not move into being your own boss. Point number 10. You see, I'm able to think and talk for 30 minutes, 1 hour. Sometimes the longest I've done is 11 hours. 11 hours just talking, and being able to articulate with points, intelligent points, not just talking like an idiot. So this involves the ability of not only talking or being able to communicate ideas, but also of thinking. You should be able to think, debate, present your information while analyzing what they are saying, while analyzing their body language, while analyzing or thinking like chess what they're going to do next or say next. If you have this ability, I'll tell you, cherish it. If you don't have it, nurture it. Try to make it grow. But if you don't have it at all, then chances are you should not move into being a businessman, because this, without a doubt, is the lifeblood. Because what happens is, when I talk to a client, I'm able to analyze them, I'm able to predict what they will say next, I'm able to think what questions they will ask, I'm able to manipulate my actions, my thoughts, change my rates based on who I'm talking with. And there are times where I refuse a client because I know this person will be trouble. So you should be able to do this. If you can't, then following your passion is not for you. Point number 11, you should be a hardcore politician. What do I mean by that? See, who's a politician? He shakes hands with people who are beneficial to him. He keeps away from people who are useless to him. He knows how to manipulate feelings. He knows how to use an incident to his advantage. And he's constantly using people. And if you're useless, he'll not even bother to look at your face. You can be his best friend one day, but you're no longer in power. He'll not bother with you. It's cold-blooded. It's cold-hearted. But this is what is required to succeed. So if you know the nuances of being a politician, then yes. But if you don't know how to be a politician, and trust me when I say this, you should not spare your own mother, father, brother, sister. You should do whatever it takes to succeed. You should be able to use anyone and everyone. Nobody is off the charts. You can do this? Good. Quit your job. Follow your passion. If not, don't. The next one, point number 12. Are you creative? By creative, I don't mean that you wear a different shirt, a different trouser, you eat a different way, dress a certain way. That's not creative. I'm talking about being a rebel, disrupting the industry. Now, on a large scale, you can look like Elon Musk disrupting the space, the shuttle program. Before, it was only done by the government. Now he does it. He also did it with Tesla. That's on a large scale. Or like Jeff Bezos. On a small scale, let me give you my example. What I'm doing right now was never done before. At least I've not found a single person who offers a service like I offer, who offers a consultation like I offer, and that also to my target market. There's nobody. And even if people have tried, they have not succeeded, or they have not been able to sustain. Why? Because it involves investing your equity, investing your blood, sweat and tears for years. Now I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been offering free content. You see my videos, 4,000 plus videos that I have online. Articles, I had before over 4,000 plus articles, 5,000. I deleted 3,000 or 4,000 of them, and now I have a few hundred. Why? Because Google's algorithm changed. So on Quora, I wrote 6,000 articles and I did it for free. 1 year I worked for free. So this is my blood, sweat and tears, this equity that I put. Are you willing to put that? If you're not willing to put that, I mean, what's the use? And that is how you need to be a rebel. You need to disrupt the industry. When nobody is doing it, you need to create it. So if you're a rebel, if you are able to stand out from the rest of the crowd, if you're doing what nobody else is doing, and by nobody else, I don't mean like you create something that nobody else has created and nobody needs. No, people should need it and people should pay for it. If you're that kind of person, fine, you should move in the direction of your dreams. But don't give such a unique product or service nobody has heard of, nobody needs, nobody wants, and nobody has any sense to pay money. Then how do you survive? So by being a rebel and being creative, it should be functional. Like having a fork, if this is how a fork looks like, and if you bend the fork in different ways, and now nobody can use it, it is creative, but it's non-functional. So it has to be functional. Point number 13, Do you have an inbuilt talent or skill that you have nurtured for years and years, sharpened it, and today you're the world's best at it? Let's say, for example, playing chess. Let's say singing. Let's say dancing. Let's say fighting. Let's say drawing. Let's assume that you have been good at this from a small age, but you have practiced, you have invested, and you've honed this skill for 10 years, 20 years, and you're really good at it. Then yes, maybe there's a chance, maybe there's an opportunity. If not as an original content designer, maybe you can opt for being a teacher. There are so many MMA fighters, boxers. There are so many singers who never made it on the large stage, who never became Hollywood success, who never became successful. But today they can offer teaching services. And if you are able to offer this, fine, you can move and be a person who can opt as a freelancer. But remember, it needs years and years of dedication, countless hours. Only then you should go there. Point number 14. Now let's assume you have the talent, you have the skill, you are able to offer something. Let's say you're good at cooking. Okay, now next question comes is the market willing to pay for it? Does the market needs this, or do they want it? Need and want are two different things. Need is food, want is paying for let's say an ice cream, customized ice cream, or a customized grill dish, a steak with the specialized sauce that you're selling for a premium. Need is rice and simple food, or a hot dog that is selling for cheap. Want is making a hot dog with truffles and cheese and I don't know, caviar or whatever. So is it what the market wants? Is it what the market is willing to pay for it? If nobody is willing to pay for it, what's the point? Let's say, for example, you're a singer, you're good at singing, but nobody wants to listen to you sing. Then what's the use? But if on the other hand you're good at singing, and let's say a bar or a pub, or you can stand and sing a karaoke on YouTube or someone, you get millions of views, you're funny, fine, then you've created a need. But if nobody's bothered to even watch you, listen to you, or even spend their time to give it to you, then what's the use, man? So point number 14 is what the market wants and is willing to pay. Point number 15, this is more on the business side, and it is the pricing and promotion. Like marketing, place, price, promotion, product, packaging, whatever. I would say pricing and promotion is seriously important, more than packaging or anything else. Let's say you have a product, you have a service, you have something you want to give to people. What is the price for it? Is it $5, $10, or are you offering per hour? If you're offering per hour, what is your rate? Remember, when I started off my coaching, I would price it at $5, because obviously I didn't know what was I worth. I didn't know if I'd get clients. So I asked people to pay me $5. Even $5, people are negotiating. Oh, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you give me this for free, that for free? So once I mastered the art, okay, for $5 I'm getting clients, I increased to 10. Then I tried to figure out a way to increase to 25, then 50, then 100. So every time I was looking at how to increase my rates and offer more value. And then you reach a sweet spot, after which you can't increase the price anymore. Now, my consultation charges one-to-one is $197. Yes, there are people who are charging $500 for consultation session of one-to-one. Gary Vaynerchuk, he charges $15,000 for I think a half an hour or a few minutes to pitch in an idea. $15,000. Huh? Now, I do not offer anything that equals $15,000 an hour. I haven't come to that. And by that I mean consistently. There are some people who can do it consistently. Like, see, for example, If you have to book Obama or Bill Clinton to give a speech for 45 minutes to 1 hour, Donald Trump, Obama, Bill Clinton, they have all charged 1 million. 1 million US dollars. Now maybe Bill Clinton is charging $200,000 or $500,000. It depends whether you want him to endorse a product or just give a speech. So each one has their rates. So what is your rate per hour? Or what is the cost for your product or your service? You should be able to know what is the entry level, what is the, let's say, per hour, per day, per week, per month, or per project cost. If you do not know this specifically, if you do not have the market knowledge, how can you survive, man? I know what is my rates. I know what is my rates for different individuals, different people, boy or girl, young or old, higher level, lower level. I've been in this game for so long. I know my rates at the tip of my tongue. If I'm talking to you, I know what I'm supposed to charge you because I can evaluate the amount of work that will be involved. If you're not familiar with this, I would say start somewhere, but then don't give up your job until you have mastered this. The next one, point number 16. Are you customizing it, personalizing it with your signature, or are you just a middleman? Now, what do I mean by this? Let's say, for example, you buy a shirt from China, you put your sticker on it, and you sell it. Now, you might think this is customizing. But then the question is, anyone can copy this, right? People have told me, Loy, why don't you sell your merch? And I asked them, okay, fine, I sell my merch. What do I put on it? They say, put your face, your photograph, or your outline, or your slogan. But then I've told them, see, listen, if I start selling a shirt with, let's say, my tagline or something on it, anyone can sell that. Anyone can duplicate it. You just have to go to a printer, say, I want the same design Loy is selling. Finish. People have told me, why don't you sell an ebook? Why don't you sell a PDF? Why don't you sell a course? Now the problem with this is, anyone can copy the PDF. Anyone can copy the course. Anyone can copy the content, and people have done that. People have copied my content. They have copied. Why do you think I've stopped putting resume tips, interview tips? People copy it. It's very easy, and you forward it to 100 people, 200 people. Let's say you download a PDF, you can forward it to 100,000 of your friends. So what is there? That is where, when you buy, let's say, cups, shirts, caps, keychains, and you just change the color, remember this, or a design, anyone can copy it. That is why you have piracy problems. All designs, all products. Check any product, be it Rolex, be it a car, be it a design, people copy it. Even games can be pirated. So when you are creating something, make sure that you customize it to such an extent that nobody can copy it. Now, for example, with regards to my rebranding services, I'm pretty sure people can copy my CV formats. That's why I never have a standard one. That's why I ensure I don't do something that is easy to copy. That's why none of my CVs are about colors. None of my interview sessions follow a standard stock answer. None of my rebranding sessions, none of my personal branding packages, they are never the same. So if you were to take a $10,000 package, another guy were to take a $10,000 package, 5 guys would take a $10,000 package. None of the 5 would be same. None of the 5 resumes would be alike. Even if they are the same profile, even if they are, say, let's say 5 engineers, all 5 will be different. They will never be the same. And it is because I offer this customized service, it's very hard to copy it. Very, very hard. I myself don't know what the next one will be. How does it look? So when you have control on the creative bit, on the customization, trust me, you are at the, you are able to dictate the price and rates. But if anyone can copy you, let's say for example, Crocs, these Crocs shoes, I purchased the original, but here in Thailand you'll find the same Crocs that you can buy for $100. You can buy the same Crocs for $10. You can buy exactly the same looking one. In fact, some of them even feel the same. They'll not be called as Crocs, they'll be called something else. So always remember, you might think you have something that nobody can copy, but 100% they can if they want. But the only unique thing about what I offer is, if you have to copy what I do, you'll have to learn every trick of the trade, which will be very hard. So I'm not saying what I do nobody can do on this planet. All I'm saying is what I offer, it's very, very hard to emulate, because every CV, every document, every experience, every consultation, no two are alike. In all my 20 years, I don't think I have replicated or copied a format. Maybe you can copy the colors, the font, the design, but not the content, because no two human beings are the same. No two situations are the same. Just like my YouTube videos, maybe you can create a channel, maybe you can copy, read the headlines or have the same topic, but that customized, personalized touch that I give, that Loy Macedo experience, you can't get it anywhere other than me. So that's me. The next one, number 17. It's a piggyback of the previous point. If people copy it, how much can they copy? So depending on how easy it is to copy, it will either result in your failure or success. I was saying, you can create a YouTube channel, yes. You can offer resume and rebrand services, yes. You can offer consultation, yes. You can claim to be a personal branding strategist, yes. But then, what Loy Macedo offers, only Loy Macedo knows. Nobody else can copy that. So if you have the monopoly over this, the creative bit that is in your head, and you're constantly improving, constantly creating, constantly learning, then nobody can. Like, let's say for example, music. Everyone can create music, but there's only one Hans Zimmerman. There's only one. There's only one Yanni. There is only one Beethoven. Even artists, there's only one Lady Gaga. So, same way, always remember, people can copy and they will copy, but then you should be able to create something so unique that even if people tried, they would not give the same experience. The next one, point number 18. It's very simple. Are you shameless? You have to be shameless, you have to be thick-skinned, you have to be, you hear people say, I give a fuck. You have to seriously have that, and to the extreme. Like for example, people have said, your tattoos, you will be destroyed, tattoos on your face. Oh, who the fuck would even want to associate themselves with you? You're a loser, this, that. Doesn't matter to me. Because at the end of the day, you're not paying my bills, man. My family has shunned me out. My religious group shunned me out. My society shunned me out. My friends shunned me out. Everyone did. Life went on. So you have to be so shameless that you have to be ready to give up anything and everything and everyone. Only then you should go for it. Others you should not. Next one. Point number 19. It's a numbers game. And by that I mean, you should be able to take an Excel sheet, put down, what is my expense per day? What is my electricity per month? What is my water? What is my food expense? How much can I cross? How much are my savings? How much I should save? How much I should keep as emergency fund? It's all numbers. Every day is an expense. Like the medicines I take, the food that I eat, even the washing, the clothes, the shopping, everything is numbers. If you do not have a grasp of this, you should not. You should have an Excel sheet where all your numbers are placed, and you should know how much you should be earning. Every client that I meet, how many hours am I spending? What is the ROI? What is my charge? Like, remember I told you, what is your charge per hour, per day, per week, per month? I, in fact, sometimes even break it down. Okay, 15 minutes, what is my rate? Half an hour, what is my rate? 45 minutes, how much? 60 minutes, 90 minutes. If you do not have the breakdown of numbers and you do not have the mastery for it, seriously, don't get into it. Remember, it's all numbers, and numbers matter. You know, maths never lies. This is your expense, this is your revenue. When you deduct the extra, is your profit. It comes down to that. So if you can't do this, you're not a master at numbers, at business, at money, at calculating, computing. Don't get into it. Point number 20. You should be able to channelize your your drawbacks. Now, let's say, for example, me. What are my drawbacks? I'm impulsive. And I can tell you this, almost every mentor of mine told me, Law, you'll never succeed as a businessman. And they were right. The reason for this is I'm impulsive. When I want to spend, nobody can stop me. Remember, I told you I spend $5,000 US dollars in 1 hour on an online game. My addiction. I was addicted, I was impulsive. I spent more than $12,000, I think more than that, or 14 or something, I think, on online games. Because that is my drawback. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't socialize, I don't keep friends. But the thing is, other people have their drawbacks. Nobody is perfect. Now here's my question to you. Do you smoke? That's your drawback. Do you drink? That's your drawback. Do you have friends? Then that's your drawback. Are you addicted to your family and you have to spend time? Then that's your drawback. Anything that does not contribute to your numbers, like even if you are weak for attention, even if you're emotional, even if you seek validation, that can be a drawback and that can destroy you. Always remember, it is your drawback that will destroy your business, your brand, you. For some people, even sex, even seeking attention from members of the opposite sex, even not being able to say the right word at the right time. Maybe you're a adrenaline junkie. Maybe you like to do adventurous stuff. That also can destroy you. So now, since you can't get rid of your drawbacks and it's not possible, the only solution is channelizing it. So do you know how to intelligently channelize your drawbacks? If you don't know, you can't survive, man. And why do you think I married this particular girl? Why do you think I stay in Thailand, in this particular place? It is to get away from my drawbacks. It is to channelize my drawbacks. And that's where I'm successful. So many people, so much potential. They make one mistake and they destroy their lives. Check out YouTubers, streamers, businessmen who made one mistake and the public crucified them. Check, you'll find so many. The next one, 21. Are you ready to embrace the dark side? You know, like Darth Vader, he says, use the force, embrace the dark side. There's so much of truth to that. If you're not willing to be evil, be cold-blooded, do things which are seriously bad, do anything it takes to survive and sustain without getting caught, you should not get into this passion business. See, I've told you, I've openly said, I used my best friend who saved my life. I had to use her for my benefit. I dumped her when she was of no use to me and I had to choose between my life, my success and her. I made some really bad, ugly, cold-hearted choices in life. When I look back, it's wrong, it's very wrong. But I had to do it. If I had to do it all over again, I still would do it. I told you, if I had to choose between my wife, between my kid and my career, I would leave them in an instant. Why? Because this is who I am, this is how I am. This is what I need to do in order to succeed. You can't succeed and remain as a good guy. All these guys, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, whoever is your role model, don't think they are saints. Don't think they didn't take questionable decisions and choices. People are ready to sell their soul to the devil. Now, I'm not talking of those people who succeeded and are goody two shoes. The majority of us will have to take tough choices like bribing people, engaging in corruption, doing questionable things. I know of a Muslim man, very holy, religious, pious, God-fearing, but his clients that he's dealing with, they want women, they want prostitutes, they want bribes, they are government officials. He gives them what they need and he says, Loy, I hate this life that I have, but how else can I support my family? So he's a good guy, but he's involved in this business that is all bad. So if you're not ready to walk down the dark path of evil, don't get into this. And you should have a stomach for it. If you don't, forget it. Point number 22. This one is a scary one. Always remember, one mistake, just one. As a self-employed, as a businessman, just one mistake can destroy your career and your life. Check any YouTuber who has made a mistake, a Twitch streamer, a businessman, a politician, anybody. Sometimes all it takes is one mistake. They can say one word, they can do one thing, let's say have sex with somebody or underage or whatever. And the public forgets years and years of good things that you did. They'll only remember the bad. This is one danger that I always remind myself. I can make one mistake, just one. And everything that I built, everything that I created will be destroyed forever. One mistake, like let's say you drive very fast and you meet up with an accident and you're paralyzed. One mistake can be like have sex and you get AIDS. One mistake is you send a wrong tweet and finish, your political life is over. As a singer, you know these Dixie chicks, they spoke bad about George Bush and their career ended. They were the most beloved and best-selling artist group of all time. Sinead O'Connor, who sang Nothing Compares to You, when she was singing on a radio station, she tore the Pope's photograph. Actually, she was speaking against pedophiles. She was speaking against the church that supports, that was covering up for priests who are having sex with children. Now, what she did was a bad idea. The intention was good. The execution of the idea was bad. Her career was destroyed. Nobody wanted to play her song. Nobody invited her. Record labels cancelled the association with her. Now this Sheena, what is her name? Carano, that fighter, MMA fighter. She just called Republicans or something like that. She said the way they are being treated is like Nazis treating the Jews. Finish. She was dropped out of Star Wars. Agent dropped her. Hollywood has distanced themselves from her. You can make one mistake. From Nicolas Cage to even this, there was this female actress, I can't get her name. She made some bad interviews where she was bad-mouthing her director and co-actors. Nobody wants to work with her. And her career finished, was destroyed after that. So you can make one tweet, one mistake. And today's social media age, people are waiting for you to make that one mistake so they can jump and destroy your career. So always remember, one mistake is all it takes. Point number 23. Let's say you're moving towards your passion, your goal, your dream. That's plan number A, plan A. Now my question is, what is plan B? Suppose plan A doesn't work. What is plan B? Like I ask people sometimes, okay, you have a job. What if you lose a job in Dubai? They say, okay, I'll go to India. Okay, what if you lose your job, don't get a job in India? Then I'll try in, some other country. Okay, what if that doesn't work? What is plan D? Then they go blank. I know it's not possible to have all the plan A to plan Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's not possible. But while running a business, it is so critical to have multiple plans or multiple streams of income or multiple options. See, for me, when I was on Quora, one fine day Quora banned me because they said my views were very strong. And there were so many haters of mine who wanted to get me banned. They got me banned. Finished. 1 year of hard work, all gone down the drain. I had my website. Someone tried to hack into it and block it. I lost most of my articles. 4,000, which was almost like 10 years of work. Then on YouTube, one day, I don't know, I just got suspended. They said, we're evaluating your channel for some, I don't know what. They changed the algorithm and something happened. I was not able to do any work for 2 weeks. So there are so many scary situations where, now let's say for example, people who are running bars, pubs, restaurants, massage parlors, tour operators here on the island of Samui, after COVID came, their businesses went down to zero revenue. Until then, they were living hand to mouth at least. Theater companies, actors, actresses. So what do you do? What is your plan B? It's very easy to put all your eggs in one basket, but what if that fails? So that's another scary thing, you know. Then point number 24. Now this is a scary one, huh? Very scary. Among all of them, this one is the most scary. And that is, you will fail. This is not you may fail, or you might fail, or you can fail. This is you will fail. And by that I mean, you will fail. Whatever you do, you might end up losing all your money, all your effort, all the hard work. After that, what do? The chances of you failing is as high as 98% over the next 10 years. 98. That means out of 100 people, only 2 will survive. And out of the 2, only 1 will remain. So it's like a lottery ticket. So many people buy, only 1 person gets it. So here's my question to you. You will fail. So are you prepared for it? You will say yes. But along with the failure comes a cost. You lose all your money. You lose all your savings. You lose all your friends. You lose everyone. And then you will say, okay, I'll get back to the corporate world. No, they'll not take you back. You'll have to suffer for the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, doing nothing but trying to get back. And I'll tell you, it is that part where people don't know whether they want to live or die. I'll give you a good example. My friend, I can't give his name. His name is, let's say, Sham. He was in UAE for 40 years, 40. Started a business, mobile phones, you know, accessories and all that. Not mobile phones. When he started off, it was a trading company. Soon he moved into mobile phones. He made a lot of money during the Nokia days. And then photography and all that. Went on. Before COVID, this is before COVID, in the recession, he ended up losing his photography business because Kodak was no longer there, you know, digital photographs. Then he focused 100% into phones and accessories. And very soon that also closed down. And he ended up in a loss of 1 million. Now he has to pay back 1 million. After 40 years of working, saving, doing everything, he ended up in minus 1 million. Now you'll say, oh, Loy, that is stupid. He didn't use his brain. No, it's very easy to criticize people. Very easy. Very hard to be in their shoes. So what do you do when you fail? And see, there is no guarantees to life. But when you're moving into being a self-made businessman, okay, doing your own thing, following your own passion, the chances of failure are so incredibly high. Like I told you, 98%. Even what I'm doing. One day people will get bored of me. One day people will say, who the fuck wants to listen to this tattooed old fool? What do I do then? Question, right? Technology becomes outdated. People become outdated. See, Tony Robbins, once upon a time, the most sought after coach. Today, who the fuck cares about him? See the artists, see the actors, see the musicians. There's a phase after which people get bored of them. And then nobody wants to see them, hear them. And last, if not the least, the last point, point number 25. This one is about, taking decisions. And why I kept it as the last point is, see, you have just this one life. Just one. You'll only live once. Yeah, people talk about heaven and hell and reincarnation. We don't know. Nobody has proved it. There are only statements, but nobody has proved it. So let's assume and let's understand that there's only one life. You just have one. You're going to grow old and die. So what I suggest is, instead of asking anyone, should I follow my passion? Should I do it? Should I give up my job? Should I give my college? I want you to take personal responsibility. Imagine, since you like to believe in some things, imagine there is no God. There's no God, there's no karma, there's no good, there's no bad. It's going to be one hell of a tough life. You'll have tsunamis, you'll have diseases, you'll have earthquakes. Okay, you'll have the greatest chance of failure. So now the question is, how would you like to live your life? You decide how you want to live your life. Don't ask anyone. Because end of the day, you have only one life. For me, after the 2011 incident where I was about to kill myself, I had made up my mind. I have only one life. Okay? Anyway, I'm planning to kill myself. So let me choose how I wish to live this life. And that is where I decided, okay, this is how I live my life. This is what I'll do. And if I can't live it this way, I'll kill myself. Simple as that. Yeah, I've told my wife, the day I become paralyzed, the day I'm totally dependent on you, where you have to feed me with a tube and remove shit manually because I can't take care of myself, I will kill myself. No hiccups, no second thoughts. I don't give a fuck. I would rather prefer euthanasia than being a vegetable and being a burden on others. So the last point that I want to give you is, don't ask anyone how you need to live your life. Don't ask anyone what decisions you need to take. Yes, guidance is important, mentoring is important, but end of the day, take personal responsibility for it. So that if anything goes wrong, you take the blame. Whether it's COVID, whether it's a tsunami, whether it's a world war. So then when you take total charge of it, anything happens, it's my fault. Then you become empowered to say, then let me make the changes to make it good. That is where, with all the things that have happened, the good decisions, bad decisions, the ethics, the morals, everything, I chose, I decided, and I took charge. There's no God, there's no karma, there's no bullshit. I'll do what I need to do to set things right. Because at the end of the day, I'll blame only one person, that is myself. So this is what I wanted to share with you. I hope this gave you some guidance. I've given you almost 1 hour of my time. Do share the video if possible. Put your comments. Show a little bit of support. This is me signing off. You guys take care.